Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Cole Kakamis and welcome back to the channel. So before I start today's video, I want to give you guys a huge thank you for helping me to surpass 500 subscribers. It's absolutely insane that I just started this channel this year and we're already up to this point. It really means a lot to me and I just can't wait to keep improving and pushing out more content for you guys to enjoy. So with that said, let's cue the video. So the PS5 has been out for over 8 months now, which is kind of crazy when I think about it. I still feel like it was just announced not that long ago, and the fact that 8 months has already passed is really insane. But I was lucky enough to pick one up back in January at retail price from Walmart. To be honest, I'm still shocked I was even able to get my hands on one of them, especially back then when the stock issues were even worse than they are right now. I did go with the disc version, but I didn't want to have to, and I'll talk more about that in just a bit. After owning and playing on the PS5 for the past 6 months, I can say that I've definitely had a lot of time to get a feel for the console and what it offers to gamers. Throughout the video, I'll talk about my experiences with it and whether or not I think it's worth purchasing it. One of the biggest changes the new PlayStation brings is the design. Moving away from the traditional black color, the only option currently is white. It looks super futuristic and unlike any other consoles we've seen before. The shape is really weird with curved edges all around, but the white plastic shell is really smooth and clean. Overall, I'm really in love with the look, but I can definitely understand why some people might not be totally onto it because, it is a little over the top. I love the attention to detail on the inner side because it's engraved with the Sony logo and the small PlayStation button icons. This is something you'll almost never see, yet they still took the time to give the added touch. Looking at the inner black plastic section, you'll see some ports and buttons. On the bottom, you have both the power and eject button. Towards the middle, you have some ports, USB-A and USB Type-C, which is really nice to see. Oh shit, I didn't even mean to rhyme that. And at the top, the vents are exposed, which gives a little look into the interior of the console. On the back side, you'll obviously have the connector where you plug into power. If you happen to misplace or just want to swap out the cord, it is the same one that was used on the PS4, so if you have one of those lying around, it works fine. Above, you'll find the HDMI 2.1 port, which will allow the console to output at 120 Hz. Now, this isn't something that's available on a ton of monitors or TVs at the moment, so you're going to have to fork out quite a bit of money if this is something that's important to you. I may or may not be considering dropping several $100s on a new TV or monitor, so drop a like if I should do it. You also have an Ethernet LAN port if you prefer to have a wired connection, and then there's two USB 3.0s. The elephant in the room with the new design is the size. This thing is absolutely huge, looking like a giant in comparison to the PS4. Even next to my desktop PC, it still looks a little mean. I don't know, it kind of looks a little intimidated. Coming in at a weight of 9.9 pounds, it serves me well to get in a couple reps after those long COD sessions. When measuring the vertical position, it's about 15.4 inches tall, 4.1 inches thick, and 10.2 inches deep. Like those hand motions? Ooh, kill him. In order to fit the disk drive, the right side of the console had to be pushed out a little bit. In contrast, the digital edition is just flat, symmetric to the other side, and so this makes it only 3.6 inches thick. There are pros to having a disc drive, like being able to buy used or snag deals on physical copies of games. I remember when I bought my copy of COD Cold War, I was able to get it for $10 less than what the PlayStation Store was selling it for. If you have PS4 games that you owned on disc, you'll be able to play them through backwards compatibility. Now, it does add $100 to the price tag, but that can pay for itself if you're buying a lot of games and you're going to sell them off, or you just own a bunch of Blu-ray movies that you want to be able to watch. Personally, almost my entire library of PS4 games is digital, and I don't buy a lot of disc games because I don't like them taking up precious space in the setup, so I am a little mad that I had to go with this disc version, but I took the bet that it was going to be easier to get my hands on as opposed to the digital. But who knows, maybe I wouldn't even have the PlayStation to even review in the first place. Circling back to the size, it can definitely be an issue depending on where you'll be storing the console. Because it's a lot thicker than the PS4, it may not be able to fit in some of the same spots, like under a TV for example. The included stand allows you to prop it up either horizontally or vertically. I decided to have it vertically because I think it looks best that way. Mounting it may seem a bit tricky at first, but it's pretty straightforward. To set it up vertically, just grab the stand that you got in the box, and make sure the hooks on the back are directly in line with the raised section. Underneath, you'll see a compartment that contains a small screw. Take it out because this will be used to secure the console to the bottom of the stand. Be happy I'm telling you this now because I had no idea I was supposed to have it like that, so my PlayStation has just been sitting there and it could have fell at any time. Now look at the bottom of the PlayStation. In the middle, you'll see this little black hole. This is a plastic cap that covers a screw hole. Take it off and put it into the bottom of the stand. Now you want to put the stand on the bottom of the console itself with the hooks locked into the back. Grab the screw and tighten it into the middle hole with either a flathead screwdriver or a coin. If you have to go horizontal, what you'll have to do is rotate the base of the stand so that the raised section and hooks aren't aligned. Then rotate the PS5 onto its side so that the PlayStation logo is facing upwards. Looking at the back of the console, you'll see 13 icons which are there to help you align the two hooks. Just push the PS5 all the way back in the stand and now you're all set. It doesn't click or anything, so to make sure it's as tight as possible, just push it all the way back. Looking at the new Dualsense controller, I can say I really love it. The contrasting white and black design looks fantastic alongside the console, as well as the rest of my setup. Not only this, but just holding in my hand feels great. The handle grips have great attention to detail with hundreds of small engraved icons. The D-pad and buttons are sporting a new glossy glass-like finish that looks really good. Sony ditched the light bar on the back of the controller and instead went with a simple ring around the floating touchpad. The option button stuck around, but the share button has been replaced by an all-new create button. The joysticks look similar to the ones used in the DualShock 4, but they're a lot more comfortable and well designed. The controller now features a built-in microphone with a toggle mute button below the PlayStation logo. As far as ports go, we still have the 3.5mm audio jack, so you won't have to switch out your current headset. Luckily, the micro USB port has been swapped out for USB-C and can be plugged into the console using the included USB-A to C cable. The biggest change though is with the new adaptive triggers, which are longer and feature haptic feedback. In games that support it, they offer a level of immersion that's really hard to explain. Because the controller is still relatively new, it's mostly the first party and exclusive games that take advantage of it. I really hope that it doesn't turn out to be some sort of gimmick and more third-party developers will adopt it because I'm really in love with it. When powering on the console, you'll hear the familiar beep and then the lights will activate. What I've noticed is that if I have a disc inserted, the fans will spin pretty quickly and make quite a bit of noise, but upon taking it out, it pretty much is silent. As soon as you load in, you'll be introduced to the new UI. It looks really modern and clean and makes the experience of using the console a whole lot better. When you press the PlayStation button, you'll be welcomed back and prompted to log in. You can either create a new user or log in with an existing profile. By pressing the options button prior to logging in, you can change your online visibility from online, busy, or appearing offline if you'd rather not get spam when you're just trying to play a quick game. The home screen has a new look, making it easier to navigate to whichever app or game that you want to launch. The system sounds have been refreshed and are really pleasing. Looking at the store, it received a massive update. It's now super fast to use, you just have to scroll down and begin browsing for the latest pre-orders and game launches. Using L1 and R1, you can switch through the menus and use the D-pad to quickly search games, view what's on your wish list, access your cart, or change settings related to the store like payment information. As you scroll on the home screen, certain games will play music to go along. Just note that this is completely up to the developer, so not every game is going to work like this. You can then go down to launch the game, look at some activities like missions or trophies, videos or live broadcasts, and applicable add-ons. Next to the game's title, you may see some text that says PS4. What this means is that the game is running via backwards compatibility and hasn't been designed specifically for the PS5 yet. At the very end of the home screen, you'll be able to access your library and quickly switch between your installed games, complete collection, or look at some of the free titles available with a PS Plus subscription. You'll also be able to see PS Now, which is PlayStation's game streaming service. Going back up and clicking R1, you'll navigate over to the media section where you can view the apps you've downloaded to watch TV shows, movies, my videos, and other content. Upon going into settings, you'll see that it looks very familiar to the PS4 interface, but the nested menus make navigating throughout much easier. I'm very happy that they went and changed this because I felt that the old menu was kind of clunky and difficult to use at times. Pressing on the PS button when back on the home screen opens up this bottom menu. Here you'll see news, notifications, the new game base where you can see which of your friends are online and parties that are available to be joined, music which can be connected to your Spotify account, any downloads or updates you have, sound and mic settings, controller or other accessory settings, your profile, and finally the power settings for when you're ready to turn off the console. Now, getting into what you probably care about most is the gameplay. With the PS5's new SSD, games load up much quicker than the PS4 did. However, certain titles like Spider-Man just have insanely long loading screens. It took me over 35 seconds to get to the start screen. One big advantage of the SSD though is that new areas on maps will load quicker or quick traveling will occur much faster. It only has 825 gigabytes of storage, which is a downside if you're playing especially a lot of newer games because you're going to be finding yourself running out of storage very quickly. In that case, you can pick up a compatible external storage device. One of the best games to showcase the power of the PS5 and the features of the new Dualsense is Astro's Playroom. It's a super simple game with fun gameplay, a beautifully crafted world, and a bunch of different challenges which all really impressed me as being a free pre-installed game. Like I mentioned, it takes full advantage of the tech in the Dualsense, including the vibration, adaptive trigger feedback, touchpad control, motion control, and the microphone. As you jump around the world and collect coins, you can feel the controller shake and hear sound effects through the speakers on the controller. Swiping up on the touchpad zippers up your character into a new suit. To scale the jungle walls, you'll need to use the built-in motion controls. Grabbing onto this hard to explain but motorized platform, you feel the triggers vibrate and shake your fingers. You can feel the tension in the controllers as you pull back on a bow, which is a really unique and immersive experience. You're going to have to exert a little bit of force to actually activate them. You can expect to get around 6 to 7 hours of gameplay with the Dualsense, but keep in mind that if you're playing games like Astro's Playroom that heavily rely on the haptics inside the controller, it will drain the battery much quicker. When you press on the PlayStation button in game, rather than just going immediately to the home screen, it'll open up the bottom menu. This still throws me off at times because I have to scroll down and then hit the home button. Games like Miles Morales take advantage of the power the console offers with options for a fidelity high graphics ray tracing mode. For those who are unfamiliar, ray tracing increases the visuals of a game by generating more true to life shadows and reflections. It runs at 30 FPS, which isn't quite as snappy as 60, but is still more than playable. While I don't have a proper 4K monitor to experience it, the game still looks fantastic as I swing through the city of New York and fight crime. On supported monitors, games can be ran in HDR and at 8K resolutions. I still think that 8K is a little overkill right now, especially since you're going to be locked at 30 FPS anyways. You're really not going to be able to notice that much difference when it comes to 4K. One feature that I found to be really useful is game presets, which allows you to have default settings like inverted Y-axis or subtitles, but again, this is something that the developer themselves has to support. I'm happy to say that the fan noise when playing games is nearly silent. This is a relief coming from the PS4 because it sounded like a jet engine even when just on the home screen. Playing Call of Duty Cold War has been an absolute blast on the PS5. The game looks really good and runs smooth. While I wasn't able to take advantage of the 120Hz refresh rate because my monitor doesn't support HDMI 2.1, it doesn't feel slow. With ray tracing enabled, it still ran well, but at times like when a bunch of explosions were happening, I could feel some lag. When playing any game, hitting the create button will allow you to save recent gameplay, take a screenshot, record new gameplay, or broadcast natively from your PS5 system. This is super convenient because you don't have to go out and buy equipment like an Elgato capture card or a PC to edit. You can just do it all straight from your console. Going into the capture options, you can change the screenshot file type, the video clip file type, and whether or not you want to include your voice or voice chat audio in the clips. One of my favorite features about the PS5 is that it is backwards compatible with nearly all PlayStation 4 games. If you have a physical copy, all you have to do is pop the PS4 disc into the console and download the game along with any necessary updates. If you own a digital PS4 game, you can just download it from your library as long as you're using the same PSN account. Luckily, most game data will transfer over, so you won't be losing your progress from the last generation. Like I mentioned earlier, the PS5 supports extended storage, and so if you don't want the PS4 games taking up space on the console, you can just play them right off your external storage drive. The DualSense controller will work completely fine, but you just won't have access to the same haptics that you would in a newer title. Some games will have increased performance on the PS5 with faster load times, higher refresh rates, and high resolutions. In Ghost of Tsushima, the game can be ran at 60 frames per second instead of 30 that it was locked at on the PS4. Experiencing this game again buttery smooth with the new DLC that launches next month is going to be so good. Now, enhanced performance with backwards compatible games isn't the same as a proper remaster like Spider-Man Remastered or the upcoming GTA 5 remaster in I think it's November, but it still improves the gameplay overall. However, in some games like Red Dead Redemption 2, not much has changed. It's still locked at 30 frames per second, and so it's really up to the developers whether or not they want to take advantage of the extra power that the PS5 offers. I've been using it over the past 6 months, and I've gotten a good idea of how it performs day to day. New games that are made specifically for the console run really smooth and look great. I'm looking forward to hopefully soon investing in a new TV or monitor so that I can really experience the full potential of this console. Backwards compatibility works very well and is a nice plus so that I don't have to abandon my entire collection of games from the past generation. Being both a PS5 owner and PS Plus subscriber, I get access to 20 of some of the best PS4 games, along with new ones every single month. What's awesome is that many of them run better than they did natively on the PS4 console. The DualSense controller is amazing in design and comfort, and in games that support the new haptics, brings an all new level of immersion. However, there aren't too many games just yet that have launched exclusively on the PS5, so we're still kind of being held back by the hardware with the PS4. And what really sucks is that new games on this console actually cost $70 now instead of $60. While the performance of the console is fantastic, it may be worth buying a monitor or TV with HDMI 2.1 so that you can run supported games at 120 frames per second. Also, getting your hands on a console is still a challenge, so even if you want one doesn't mean you're going to get it. Coming in at $400 for the digital and $500 for the disc edition, it offers a very good value that will bring immersive gameplay for years to come. I think it's a pretty competitive price when you look at gaming PCs. For example, mine cost me about $1,600 and performs similar to what this does. If you guys want to see me compare my custom gaming PC with the console, Definitely let me know down in the comments because I think that could be very interesting. Also, let me know if you already own or will be purchasing a PS5 for yourself. I'll leave some links in the description to some retailers that you may be able to order one from. As always, I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who's made it to this point in the video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed and you want to see more tech content from me in the very near future, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you and take care.